foggy day at Germantown. The British commander knows there's an HQ entering here, an HQ entering here, Colonial HQ entering there. Who is where and what? So this is what's happening. These two HQs are Smallwood's militia and Armstrong's militia. The other three HQs, this is Washington's HQ, and in reserve on his HQ card are Sullivan and Greene. So the whole colonial army is here. Now Howe doesn't know that. He has a detachment here in the woods. He'll send this detachment up there. And I figure between the two attachments, they can deal with whatever is coming down Ridge Road. Those are the British Dragoons. This is turn 1. I'm moving Armstrong to there. And I have Washington. Now at this point, the British player still doesn't know what troops with what HQ. It's fog, you can only see 1/3. This is all the farther they can see. Now we're moving to turn 2. Washington is able to cross the river just, and his troops will come in sight. Washington has been seen. The whole American army is in column on the road. Various HQs are spread out. Cornwallis gets reports of large bodies of American troops coming down Ridge Road. He sends foreign troops to contact them. He sends all of Navassen's troops to investigate that. He sends his dragoons forward, they see nothing. Howe commands a detachment forward to investigate. They do find colonial troops. Colonial line is forming. Sullivan and Greene were moving with Washington. Later in the morning, Navassen will be showing up. We have the combat at Van Ring's Mill. The British are driven back. Washington's forces occupy the hill. Greene's troops pile across the bridge. Navassen arrives and takes command of his troops. They form an arc in an attempt to contain the troops. Armstrong closes in on the dragoons. Basically, they're chasing the dragoons off because the dragoons are not going to stay and fight that. At this point, the British have secured Germantown, although Howe's getting his reports from his dragoons and from the detachment, and he says there's really not that many American colonials over here. They must be lost in the fog. Smallwood advances his militia forward to keep up the guise of being an armed force of serious consequence. Sullivan moves to clear the woods. It's midday. The militia forms a line along the ridge. Washington's troops drive north along the river. Sullivan moves to clear the British detachment out of the woods. Greene and Washington give it everything they got. Cornwallis hears an explosion farther south and peels off troops to deal with it. The rest of his forces hold and keep watch. Washington's troops are pushed back. Troops in the center fight to the bitter end. These are the casualties. That is rough. Greene's command is almost destroyed entirely. His command is exhausted. The British detachment is mopped up by Sullivan's troops. Turn 5 and Cornwallis shows up with his grenadiers. Washington rallies his troops and forms a line. Cornwallis arrives just in time with his grenadiers. Sullivan begins bringing his troops around. Navassen reforms his line. It's mid-afternoon, things are not looking good for the colonials. The colonial command is at the mill, discussing what to do. Navassen pulls back his line and unpacks his bags. Greene goes after Navassen's troops like a rabid dog. Washington moves the artillery forward. Cornwallis launches everything on the colonial troops. The last of Greene's men, caught in a flank attack, go down. Matthew's surprise flank assault out of the fog drives Washington's troops and the artillery from the hill. The entire American army is routed, pushed back to the bridge they came from. At this point, Washington realizes he is undone. He suffered heavy losses, and worse than that, because he'll get some of those back in a couple turns. In the night, he'll recover some of his forces, but the British are going to keep driving him. He's going to keep falling back and losing units if he tries to stay at all and recover his line. The complete failure of any of his attacks to accomplish what he wanted them to accomplish, rather than capturing the British in a vice, he has seen his forces split and his strong force defeated in detail. Good game.